Two of the most popular Straw Hat candidates are Momonosuke and Tama, who will make the perfect pair for apprentices on the Straw Hat Pirates. So in this video, I want to break down if it makes sense for them to join the Straw Hats and whether or not apprentices make sense for the Straw Hats. But first, I want to thank the sponsor for this video, the Anime Collective. The Anime Collective combines anime and streetwear to give you the perfect urban style you're looking for. They offer high quality hoodies, t-shirts, and sweaters themed around some of your favorite anime series. Series such as One Piece, Attack on Titan, Hunter x Hunter, and many more. Their merchandise comes in all sizes and they provide shipping worldwide. If you want someone else's word for it, you can look at the many reviews from happy customers. So if you're looking to add some dope anime merch to your collection, definitely go check out the Anime Collective. By using the link in the description, you could get 10% off on your first purchase, or you can use my code KING. Let's start by breaking down apprentices, one of the most common roles within the story. Of course, the two iconic ones are Shanks and Buggy, who were apprentices on the Roger Pirates. Both of them were just 9 years old when they joined up with the Roger Pirates, and they were with the Roger Pirates through all that crazy stuff, the Ed War, fighting the Whitebeard Pirates, finding the One Piece, all the way up until the crew disbanded when they were 14 years old. But besides them, there are other apprentices as well. We have Marco the Phoenix, who was an apprentice on the Whitebeard Pirates. His case is much different because he stayed with that crew and kind of climbed the ladder. You also have Kaido, who was an apprentice on the Rocks Pirates, which is crazy to think about, but kind of fitting for Kaido. But yeah, overall, apprentices are a very common role within the story, and the position has proven to be quite an effective role to take on. All the people that we just named, 3 of them are now Yonko. One of them became the right-hand man of a Yonko, and the other one's the GOAT. So yeah, essentially the idea is if you become an apprentice on a very strong crew, you're gonna become a very successful pirate or whatever you want to do later. So for a lot of people, it feels very fitting that the Straw Hats should have some apprentices as well, especially if you want to take that parallel of the Roger Pirates and the Straw Hat Pirates, where Roger has Shanks and Buggy, and now the Straw Hats could have Momo and Tama. So that's kind of the general idea of the apprentice role. But I'll be honest here, for me, for a very long time, I was kind of against this idea for the Straw Hats. Even though the Straw Hats will go down to be the greatest pirate crew of all time, I feel like right now, with how small their crew are, they can't really take on any more liabilities. The whole entire crew is just 10 people. It's an incredibly small crew. Even Roger's crew had over 20 plus people. Another thing I always mentioned was that even though Shanks and Buggy were on Roger's ship, the Roger Pirates were fully grown men at that point. So they were in the peak of their primes with double the amount of members as the Straw Hats, so they could take on people like Shanks and Buggy. Either that, or you're somebody like the Rocks Pirates, this very stacked crew, or like the Whitebeard Pirates with Whitebeard at the helm and a whole bunch of other members. Those crews are still built very different than the Straw Hats, who everybody kind of has to carry their weight. And specifically with the candidates of Momo and Tama, I really felt like they didn't have enough power to stand on their own, essentially. Because think about it, even the apprentices throughout the story that we've seen, all of them are absolute monsters now. The joke I always made was that I would probably take a 9-year-old Buggy over an 8-year-old Momo. We're power scaling children here, but yeah, I would totally take Buggy over Momo. So for a long time, that was my overall opinion. I just didn't feel like the role fit the Straw Hats. But as Wano has continued and we've seen more out of Momo and Tama, and after speaking with many of my other friends, I wouldn't say my opinion has completely changed because I still have some issues with this theory, but for sure, I could definitely see scenarios where Momo and Tama become apprentices for the Straw Hats. So first off, let's just go and break them down individually, why it would make sense for them to join, why it wouldn't make sense. And I actually want to start with Tama because my opinion on her has changed the most. Tama as a character has grown on me so much. I don't know if that's because I've been watching a lot of Randy Choi videos or what, but yeah, not only is what she's doing now in the story very impressive, but after going back and actually watching some of the early Wano anime, there's just so much more focus and animation. It brings out her character so much more. She's absolutely adorable and we must protect her at all costs. So yeah, Tama's character has definitely changed for me. Initially, I really didn't care about her character that much, and I do think that's because Act 1 of Wano was really slow for me. I really was not that invested in the characters and the story, and that was when Tama got a lot of shine with her character. The connection she had to Ace, the incredibly strong devil fruit she has, all the things that are becoming very important right now in Onigashima, I kind of brushed that over in the beginning. But right here, right now, she's on Onigashima and proving that she's an absolute absolute beast. That was another thing I was completely wrong as well. I've always said Tama's a little kid, she's not gonna come to Onigashima with a war, but hey, I'll happily take the L on that because I'm loving the stuff Tama is doing right now. Not only did she save 2 of the Straw Hats in Usopp and Nami, but she's completely turning the tide of the war now. So the one argument I've always had against Tama with her power is just getting thrown back into my face right now. But at the same time, I still do need to see a lot more from Tama's power and what else she can do. Personally, I really don't think she could tame Zoans. That could be another thing I get wrong, but hey, I'm sticking with it. As far as we know, she can use her powers on gifters and animals, and because of the way the Smile Devil Fruits were created using the lineage factor, I feel like it was Caesar using some animal DNA to create this artificial fruit. So these gifters and headliners have actual animal DNA within them. That's why we literally see some animals growing out of asses and arms and all that kind of crazy stuff. And personally, I think real devil fruits are gonna have a different science to them, and if Tama's fruit is actually able to tame Zoans, that would be very, very broken. So that's my belief on her power right now. I could be wrong, but going off of this belief, her power is still kind of limited. Yes, she's proving a lot on Onigashima right now, but this is kind of the perfect battlefield for her. If she joins the Straw Hats, she's not gonna be able to bring this whole like army of beast pirates with her, and in desperate situations there might not be any strong animals around she could just quickly tame and throw a Pokeball at. As a matter of fact, even in Wano, she had to be rescued by Luffy once already. So for Tama, I'm still a little worried about her in terms of her strength, but I do think there are ways she could get stronger, either like actually learning like some ninja stuff with being a kunoichi, or maybe she's actually able to tame Zoans, or she has some other sort of power she could use. So there's certainly a pathway for Tama there in terms of her power, but I still could see a scenario where she does stay behind. All those beast pirates that she tamed, is she just gonna give them orders and tell them to stay behind and protect Wano? That could be possible for sure, but I could totally see her staying behind as well, using the beast pirates and the gifters to help rebuild Wano. Now, as far as other elements that Straw Hat crew members usually have, like a dream, that part is actually pretty straightforward. Tama, her main thing is becoming a bewitching kunoichi, and if she becomes an apprentice, her dream would essentially be to train and learn until she becomes one. Now, at the same time, I've always kind of used that as a counter argument as well, because one of the things people will point to is Luffy taking on Ace's will and taking Tama onto his ship, but Ace specifically said that she can't become a pirate until she becomes a bewitching kunoichi. So I could see this going multiple ways, where she's not one yet and she decides to stay behind in Wano until she is one, or like I mentioned before, it's her dream to become one and that's why she becomes an apprentice, or it could be a case of Luffy saying like, hey Tama, you did a lot in this war, you are a bewitching kunoichi now and you could join my crew. In that scenario, she would kind of need another dream because it's a Straw Hat requirement essentially, but yeah, I could definitely see it going down either one of those paths. So overall for Tama, her character has grown on me a lot. I would not be upset if she became a Straw Hat. I could definitely see many scenarios where she does. The one thing that's really holding her back right now is I need to see more of her abilities. But next, let's talk about Momonosuke, who I've actually felt a lot more strongly against than Tama. Tama, I really just didn't see as realistic at first, but with Momo, I really felt like he had other story paths to follow. The main debate with Momonosuke is, will he go with the Straw Hats as an apprentice, or will he become the Shogun? And personally, I've always thought that he does become the Shogun. First off, I really did not think he had anything else to contribute to the Straw Hats. And second of all, I always saw his story as opposite of Oden. Oden was this absolute Chad that was banging women when he was like 12 years old. He's not scared of anything, he's dumb strong, everything that Momonosuke is not. And that's something that's been hammered home throughout the story. And the beginnings of their story are quite opposite as well. Oden, somebody that always wanted to leave Wano, whereas Momonosuke was born outside of Wano on a pirate ship. So for me, I felt like it would be very fitting if Momonosuke becomes the Shogun, something his dad couldn't do. And finally, I'll be honest, Momonosuke was not a character I enjoyed very much in the beginning, but again, he's grown on me a lot. He's had a lot of big moments recently and throughout the story. I kind of enjoy his character now. But still, I am very iffy on whether or not Momonosuke actually becomes an apprentice on the Straw Hats. First off, Momonosuke, in terms of power, I'm more worried about him than Tama. Tama at least is doing a lot of work in Onigashima right now. Momonosuke so far has not shown a single feat of strength. As a matter of fact, he's been captured many times and needed to be rescued. Okay, hold on, I did forget Zunisha. That was a very big feat of strength. But at the same time, Zunisha is not really a power you can get access to all the time. So in like a day-to-day type of aspect, Momonosuke really hasn't had any feats of strength. On the other hand though, there are potential paths for him to get stronger. The fastest way to do it would be his artificial devil fruit, which is Vegapunk's devil fruit. And like I mentioned in a video recently, I think Vegapunk should come to Wano. So that could definitely be one way Momo gets stronger. He learns more about his devil fruit and how it works through Vegapunk, and he has some sort of ways to defend himself at least. Also, one of Oden's old swords, the Ame no Habakiri, is his sword. So he could definitely train some swordsmanship and get stronger that way. And that's the thing about Momo, he has a much stronger case to become an apprentice, because already we've seen him throughout the story learn from the Straw Hats. Luffy is somebody he looks up to a lot as a leader. He's already trained some swordsmanship with Zoro, and the big one a lot of people hammer home is that he could learn the language of the poneglyphs through Robin. That's something that is passed down through the Kozuki clan, like Kozuki Oden knew it, but Momo never got the chance to learn it. And Robin is the only person that could decipher those, so if he wants to retain that aspect of his birthright, he would have to learn it through Robin. Now the counter argument for that is, by the end of the story, are we gonna need to know what the poneglyphs say? Because by the end of the story, I think we're all expecting the world government goes down, all the true history from the Void Century gets revealed, so there might not be a need to understand what the road poneglyphs say. But at the same time, because it's kind of a tradition, it would make sense if Momo wanted to learn it as well. So for Momo, he definitely has a very strong case to become an apprentice. One thing I forgot to mention with Tama, but this applies to Momo as well, both of them have very strong relationships with the Straw Hats. Zoro and Luffy both had that connection with Tama, they care about her a lot. She's now working with Usopp and Nami already, so she's already pretty close to the crew. And Momonosuke is even closer, he's been with them for a very long time. And as far as the dream aspect for Momonosuke, that's very simple as well, is to become a man worthy of becoming the Shogun. But the question is he already? Because that's another issue I have, is who will become the Shogun if Momonosuke is not? A lot of people point to Hiyori because she's been around and she's actually grown, but it's not like she's been studying like statesmanship for the past 20 years, she's been an Oiron. I feel like Denjiro is probably more qualified, I guess he could help her there. So for me personally, I didn't think there was a good candidate to replace Momo as a Shogun, but that has changed in the recent chapters, because as we know, there is a mysterious figure that has recently appeared. Now in my chapter review, I said it was Vista, and I was like dead set on it, but I gotta admit that was me getting in my crazy headcanon a little too much. Some people got pretty mad that I thought it was a long mustache, I know it's kind of silly. I still think it's possible Vista's gonna show up, but most likely that mysterious figure is probably Hiyori or Toki. Now I really didn't like the idea of Toki showing up at first, because once again it would be another character that is supposedly dead but is not. And a lot of people have said she could easily escape just by jumping into the future, but that would go completely against what we saw. In that moment when she sent the Scabbards and Momo to the future and sent Kawamatsu and Hiyori off by themselves, she had decided that she was gonna die. After years of jumping into the future, she felt like she found the place that she was ready to die. So for her to all of a sudden escape path and jump into the future, it would kind of go against the idea. But on the off chance that maybe somehow she survived, I do think she would make a pretty good candidate for Shogun. During the flashback, we did get a lot of emphasis on Toki being a great leader. She was looking after the people in the town, everybody had respect for her. That's another thing, if she becomes the Shogun, I don't think anybody would be mad at it. She's also from Wano herself, so she's not some outsider. And in general, I do feel like she would be a better candidate than Hiyori. It's just that I don't really know a scenario where it would make sense that she's still alive, so we would really have to see how Oda builds out that story. But anyways, overall, Momo and Tama becoming apprentices on the Straw Hat Pirates, I would not be mad at that. In fact, I could definitely see scenarios where they both become Straw Hats. I also don't feel like it's one or the other. It's either gonna be both of them or neither of them. Throughout Wano, they've been kind of paired together and building this back and forth relationship. There's also the theory that Tama is a Kurozumi, which would tie them together even more. My guy Randy Choi did a really good video breaking that down, so go check out his video. But yeah, the two of them are really connected. I feel like they would both benefit from being apprentices. If you're gonna have the parallel of Buggy and Shanks, you can't just have one apprentice. So yeah, I do think it's either both of them or neither of them, which I still do think it's very possible neither of them join the Straw Hats. I think we need to see more of both their powers and what they're able to do. And story-wise, there's also a lot of other stuff to flesh out with like the Beast Pirates and the Shogun stuff. Now, I will say if they both become apprentices, I hope we get a lot of development in that aspect. Like they should get some focus and development of them learning stuff. One crazy idea I kind of had to counteract like their weakness is to maybe have Yamato and Carrot both join to be like their guardians. I know at that point it will be 4 new crew members on top of Jinbei finally joining, and in a recent video I just mentioned Vivi returning as well, so that would be like 6 new crew members. But hey, we still haven't had that big banquet at the end. Maybe we'll just have everybody join at once. But yeah, overall, those are my thoughts on Momo and Tama becoming apprentices on the Straw Hats. But I definitely want to hear your thoughts on this. Do you want them as apprentices? Do you not want them? Let me know in the comments below. But as always, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy, please hit that like button. To keep up with this channel, you gotta hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to get notified. Thank you to all my King Pirates Elite members on YouTube and Patreon for supporting the channel. Be sure to follow me on Twitch, I'm DStreams. Follow me on Twitter, I'm DKing4, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.